that's a tremendous looking trophy.
Hello, welcome to the Platinum Explosion, number one PlayStation podcast in the Oceanias. My name's Dylan Blatt, and joining me, as always, Ashley Hobley.
Hey Dylan, excited to be back so we can finally talk about Croc Legend of the Gobbos getting a HD version.
Now, just hold the fuck on with this shit, right?
Yeah.
You make your little joke, you do your little bit about the thing. Old mate, all he did was tweet about it. I really think if that's a thing, it's like 4 or 5 years away.
Yep. Probably is.
Cool. Awesome.
Do I care about Croc Legend of the Gobbos? No.
No.
But I know a target audience. And they would have eaten it up.
I know I care. But I'm also like, I also saw this and went, cool, that may get cancelled. We're not getting too excited about that. In the trophy cabinet this week, Platinum Trophy, we're talking about Final Fantasy XVI finally. I mean, that's the main topic of the session. I actually got a few things to talk about this week between also talking about Crash and a couple of news stories. But we took last week off solely because obviously we put I tweeted out in case you missed it. And we were like, hey, I don't use Twitter. And you were like, where the fuck was last week's Platinum Explosion? Decided just to skip it between all the extra Arcade Couch episodes, all the press conferences and showcases and whatever else. Didn't have time to play the Final Fantasy XVI demo. And really that was all PlayStation had going on last week. Mm-hmm. Everything else was non-PlayStation or, you know. Anyway, all right, let's get into
Not
Final
obviously
Fantasy
PlayStation. Yeah.
Not obviously. I mean, obviously, a lot of those games are coming to PlayStation as well, but we're discussing them on the Arcade Couch episodes, and PlayStation didn't. Yeah, anyway.
PlayStation didn't pull an Xbox and like go, "Hey, all these games are coming to PlayStation."
No, they didn't,
because they're classy.
If that's what you want to believe,
take the high road.
Yeah, you would. Final Fantasy 16 demo is out. I assume we've both played it, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. I was like, it would be really awkward if you had.
I didn't complete it.
Really?
Yes. I'll get into
how
it.
Far? Well, here's my problem. I was going to ask how you want to talk about it because I was nearly going to be like, spoilers.
I got up to the Econ fight, the long one.
At the end?
Yeah. Died. And then went back to before you had to fight the Dragoon Knight. I'm like, nah.
Okay, so you were like 2 minutes away from finishing it.
Okay, then yes.
The demo
I'm pretty sure it was like right before the end, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean there's a little bit of another couple minutes of cutscenes after that sequence, but like
I'm sure something is revealed after that, but yeah.
You basically finished it. Yeah, I'll tell you.
I can wait till I get the game.
Here's what fuck it, we're doing it. All right, so look in the time codes if you want to skip ahead, but like I'm doing it this way. I just feel like hold on. I'll get my main thoughts. Let's talk about the combat and then let's talk about the story and world. And when we're doing story and world on the demo, I'm going full spoilers for the what's shown in the demo for this. I just think let's just get that out of the way. If you're choosing not to play the demo, want to go in no spoilers prior to the game, go for gold. Like skip ahead, look in the show notes, you can get the time code. We'll do that in a minute. But first, there's not that much combat in the demo, so I'll just get thoughts out on that quickly. I think it's perfectly fine. It is very basic, and I think that's why. And obviously, it's the problem is that the demo is literally, hey, here's like the first 2 hours of the game. And you've got no real abilities and whatever else. It's just literally the setup. And that's why once you beat the demo, they actually give you another thing that skips you ahead to what I presume is like midpoint of the game where you've got a bunch more powers. And that showcases like when you're playing the game and you press R2 and you have one power, it's like, okay, so now you got 3 and there's more enemies and, it's a bit more action focused.
Switch it up a little bit.
Yeah. So... but I mean, what do you think of the very basic combat we got?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely feels like start of the game combat. This isn't a game that goes, "Hey, we're going to give you all the powers, and then we're going to take them all away from you, and you have to build your way back up." But yeah, it seems very simplified. There's one attack button, one magic button, one dodge. That's about it. That's all.
Dodge and
charge, I guess.
Charge at people?
Yeah, but even that might be something you can swap out later. I don't know. Yeah. Because there's definitely a skill tree. There's a bunch of abilities that were what was in the demo was very, very small. I don't know if it expands out from that. I hope it would. This is like a circle of like, I don't know, 16 very basic things. And then there was like 4 actual abilities and like 3 of them were locked. So, yeah. Hopefully there's a little bit more variety.
There's definitely gonna be a lot. I think the problem is this. It's just the game is not only is this a quote unquote demo, it's basically the prologue to the game.
Yeah, it's just the opening of the game, literally.
Yeah, and it's mostly story focused. And I've seen some complaints about that, like it's mostly cutscenes. I don't really have a problem because I mean,
that's how much.
If you say, well, I mean, if you're like, I love Final Fantasy games. Like, I'm sure even back in the day when you loved them as JRPGs, still the reason I loved playing Final Fantasy games as a kid was the story. Like, the story was more important to me than the gameplay. I know that usually gameplay's king, but when it came to Final Fantasy, it was the characters, it was the story, it was the world, all that sort of stuff. So I actually think just choosing to put out the first couple hours and doing the whole, like, your demo progress carries across, I like that for this. I think it's a fun.
I think it actually works well considering it is so story heavy. It's like you get your first. It's like any of these like HBO or subscription service shows, like putting out their first episode
for free,
like on YouTube or something.
Yeah,
and like get that first taste for free. But this is like, oh, we'll just give you this massive story chunk. You can tell. Because then when you actually install the game, you'll be able to jump right into more combat stuff. You assume.
Oh, yeah. I'm very much assuming the game obviously has larger areas of combat and then it has more sections like this where maybe you are doing a few hours of heavy story stuff, but it's going to be ebbs and flows, I assume. All right, so let's go. I'm going to spoilers now because I just want to talk about the world and story and stuff like that. So look at the time codes again if you want to skip ahead, but otherwise we're only talking about what's in the demo. I will talk about after this the fact the game's leaked and all that. But of course, none of us.
You just said it, so
none of us have looked at that shit though. So like,
no.
The world is dense as fuck. Like it is so. And I'm not saying this is a bad thing. I'm all about it. Like I'm playing this game. This is like watching the first couple. And obviously, they have said as much. They are inspired by Game of Thrones for this game. And you can see it. You can very much see it. You're playing as Jon Snow, basically. Like you are the bastard of the family. You're the bastard of the Starks.
I hadn't put that together, but that actually does track.
Yeah, you got a wolf. You're the outcast of the family.
You're the eldest, but you're not allowed to be the next in line.
And I'm going to tell you something else that you didn't get. Did you see this? No, you would have seen this past. Your fucking dad gets his head chopped off.
Yeah.
It's Jon Snow, baby. But yeah, I mean, when you start the game, it's like, hey, here, this character, they're on a campfire and there's a thing, and then they're like, we're gonna go fight we're gonna go kill Shiva and shit. You're like, that's wild. Then they're like, here's these 2 families having a giant war. And then they cut across these other characters. They're having to fucking sit down, and they're like, hey, this is that family and this family, and they're having a fucking thing. And then they're like, talk about war. And then let's skip ahead back in time. I'm like, man, there's a lot going on in this game.
Yeah, and then there's 2 characters having sex in the hallway. It's like,
Yep. No incest so far though. So you got
all the people with their boy band from Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah.
Hard turn.
Very hard turn. So yeah, I mean what how are you feeling about it? Are you finding did you find that first couple hours too much, or are you just like, you're along for the ride?
I'm along for the ride. I feel like it definitely was a lot, especially that the 13 years in the future version, that we have very little information about.
When the war's like in full like effect, basically.
Yeah. But once you go back, like obviously it slows down a fair bit and you get like a more solid kind of introduction into the world, I guess. Yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. It's very different to any Final Fantasy. I don't think any have been this like hard Western, like European,
or like straight. Yeah,
straight medieval. Yeah.
I would say a couple of the first ones, but because they were so pixel like
You wouldn't
pixel
be able to
art,
tell.
you wouldn't be able to tell, yeah. But they were more like strict fantasy sort of stuff.
Hmm.
This one's bringing it back to core, and that's the thing that was exciting about this one. It is back to the core of Final Fantasy. Those first few games where it's like true like fantasy setting, knights and that sort of stuff, and then crystals at the heart of it again, and then aeons, summons and shit at the heart of it as well. Like it is like very back to basics.
Yeah,
which is cool.
It is.
Now,
I love that there is a dedicated button to bring up the lore.
Press the
touch screen,
the middle touch screen button. Yeah, because if at any stage you're like, who the fuck are they again?
Yeah, just hold that button down.
Yeah, just hold that button down. Get a look. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I definitely I don't think it's a negative. I'm saying, looking on Twitter, I'm saying some people complain about it, but I don't feel like it's any different than starting a big fantasy epic, be it a Lord of the Rings, be it a Game of Thrones or whatever. And
it's the same as starting any new game, from a new franchise, Well, most.
Yes. Well, yes, but it definitely
RPG.
is a lot denser. Yeah. Just the world names, because everything has no basis to anything you've known, and they've, or at least even in the first couple of hours, they've introduced I think at least 3 or 4 different family regions or whatever. Mm-hmm. They've introduced all these family members, connections, plot points to betray people. Like there's a lot in the first couple of hours.
Yep.
And you didn't even get to see. So I'm going to tell you how the demo ends, right?
Okay.
So this is how the demo is. I'm going to spoil the next couple minutes you miss. You fucking do this. You do this whole fight, right? Which is interesting because the demo starts with that
fight,
that fight, and then it goes into old mate's eye, and then they go back, and you assume that's at the same time period, but it's not. It's actually from the past. So it was like a memory. Is how I guess it's inspired. And it's a memory because what happens is you do this whole fucking fight. Now hold on, let me ask you this question. When the kid brother, the Phoenix, right? So he transforms. Did you take it as Ifrit was Clive?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I took it too. But I didn't know if I was just I think they're trying to make it up for debate, but I think it's pretty obvious it's just Clive, and he doesn't realize he's transformed. I think it's the thing, because what happens is that you do the whole sequence. They come back out up on top to the outside the actual castle gates, and then Ifrit begins belting the living fuck out of Phoenix, and then you hear Clive being like, "No, stop it! Stop hurting my little brother!" But you never see him. And whatever else, they purposely do it like he's watching it. But I'm I just don't think. I think it's supposed to be as he doesn't realize it's actually him in Ifrit at that point. Yeah. But anyway, he bites the fucking Phoenix's head off and kills his brother. So, and then it skips ahead to when they were people talking about, I was listening to Arcade Couch where Kieran played the demo too, and he was like, man, don't get attached to any characters. Yeah, the opening of this game is just fucking everyone dies. It's crazy. So then he does that, and then it skips ahead to the following morning, and then you've got fucking bitch mum who you didn't like. They made it very evident from the start, she's a
very
bad
Caitlin
guy.
Stark in hindsight, yeah.
Well, worse, because she's revealed to have been working with the bad guy. Oh,
damn.
She's wandering through with one of the knights of the bad guys, whatever. I can't remember all the places' names. It's fine, I'll get there. But she's wandering through with them, and then he's knifing them all, and he comes across and he finds Clive, who's still alive, and they go, "Oh, he must have survived because he somehow fell under the rubble." And I'm like, "No, he survived because he was fucking Ifrit, mate." That's how he survived what was going on there. Anyway, he's knocked out. And then he says "Oh, do you want me to kill her?" And then bitch Caitlin Stark was like, "Yeah, kill him. He's a piece of shit." And then right as old mate's about to stab him, she's like, "No, wait. As my late husband always used to say, he would make a really good soldier." So then they begin to pick him up, and and then old mate's like, "Wake up, boy, you're gonna be a soldier." And then fucking slaps him across the face, and then it slides out, and it comes up Final Fantasy 15, which I don't think is a demo thing. I think it was literally because they never show the title in this. I think that's why I'd say it is legit the prologue to the game. It's it just dives you in at a million miles an hour, and then you have all this insane shit happen. All these people, all these characters die, and then they're like, "Hey, the game's Final Fantasy 16. Sorry, not 15. Final Fantasy 16. Welcome to the game. And then after that pops up and says, keep playing after the demo when the full game comes out. But yeah, wild. So that's how that ends.
Yeah.
So how do you feel now that you know that the kid dies as well?
I don't know, because I feel like the kid has been pretty prominently advertised. So I feel like
okay. Do you reckon he survives?
Comes back,
Yeah, okay.
regenerates. It's a phoenix, Dylan. It's a literal phoenix. They're known for coming back to life. So
it's true.
Yeah. What happened to the dog? That's the most important part.
Dog definitely lives because we know that the dog grows up and that's part of
you
the
don't see
now, where the dog dies later in the game, which would be an outrage.
Yeah.
And that 0 out of 10 at that stage. But I know the dog will be in later parts of the game. So.
Yes. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it's so then you've got now this world where I guess the game's going to skip ahead sometime or something after this the opening, because then he's going to be like basically dragged in and is more or less Clive's then taken in under the Lannisters. I guess is the.
I mean, trying to find accurate analogies is going to be difficult. I think
it's going to be difficult, but for like. Yeah, I people are going to do it. I still feel like for the sake of, and that's not in a way of like the game's ripping off the story. It's just like analogies to easily understand what sort of equivalent families and stuff like that they are. But yeah, what do you think of the world where? So what it is obviously these people get the powers of the Eidolons, the summons, or whatever icons, whatever they call them in this version. I can't remember the many different names they give them. They get the powers of them, and as we see in that 13-year ahead time, it seems that someone else has the power of Shiva, and then I assume the big giant was the brute dude in that room, right? You know what I mean? You know how we in the 13 years time we see the two like that dude and like then suddenly there's a big dude storming across the battlefield and shit like that.
I mean, it makes sense. You wouldn't expect him to have Shiva in him, so
no. No. But then it's like it also then I guess makes more I've even got more questions because then they say at the start where they're at the campfire and they're saying we're here to like kill the core Shiva. No, the something in Arava, like, yeah. There's a lot of stuff like red herrings and words and things thrown out. The fact they all have those tattoos now, like they're part of some like particular
cult
or like at least group or something like that. And then other weird things too, where I'm like, they give you a very long interaction with a random dude carrying that apple. I'm like, is this just to show that Clive's a good dude, or is like?
I think so. That was my, okay. But maybe again setting up like supporters amongst the castle or whatever.
Yeah. Anything else?
No, obviously, the world is quite interesting. Obviously, you've got the monsters, the goblins, and the whatever it's called. So there's this like force of it. There's the White Walkers coming from the north as well that they have to deal with.
Yeah.
On top of all this crystal stuff. So, I'm very keen. I think it interesting. You were playable as Joshua for a bit there as well. So, like potentially you'll be playing multiple people. It won't just be you play Clive the entire time. But yeah, it definitely got me excited, and I'm glad I won't have to play through that first 2 hours again.
Yeah,
that was cool. Yeah,
I mean, I was already excited, but like I was already super keen for the game anyway. But yeah, after playing that 2 hours the other night, I was just like, even more so. I was really, really enjoying the world, and I think having an opening like that, where it's just like where they just like kill everyone, like. It's just such a different expectation than I'm used to for not only Final Fantasy, but I guess games in general. I'm enjoying the Clive as a character. I enjoyed most of the characters I met until they all died, but like I like I like him as a character so far. I like the voice acting. I like the more like keeping it to more that British European everyone's got those accents and stuff like that. It's actually weird because quite a lot when you play Final Fantasy games, especially I guess the ones that are set in different worlds and stuff, having the Japanese voice actors and stuff like that might be, a lot of people still consider those more the prominent ones and what have you. But something like this, it's like surely the English voice acting where you've got because it's like got the British sort of European settings, sort of makes it the more preferred way to play it if you are able to, I guess. Makes me wondering if anyone in Japan would prefer to play it with subtitles and European. You know what I mean? Like it's a weird, interesting question. Another thing I'll say, and I know this isn't equivalent to you because you're fucking 720p TV, but what a beautiful game. I'm sitting there.
Pretty.
Okay. Even on your, there you go. That fucking like sequence where you play it like shooting all the fire out as Ifrit, and you're like falling down and just like all the specs and stuff like that. Like I was just like really like a lot of detail. I even left it on. It was annoying me a couple times during combat, but I left it on the visual mode instead of performance mode. A couple times when I was like moving around as Clive the first time you get control before you have to go speak to Daddy in the throne room, like whipping the camera around at 30 frames per second was sort of annoying me just because of the blur, and I barely play anything on that anymore. But I still, as much as I would prefer, and this is the thing, and I think I agree, I think I'd prefer a performance mode that could drop it down to 2K instead of 4K and run it at 40 frames, because even that makes a huge difference. But I think for a Final Fantasy game, considering a lot of it's going to be just like pretty cutscenes and stuff like that, probably just going to leave it on the visual mode for this. Even though, as I said, sometimes it was just like, a little bit blurry for me there, but that's fine. But yeah, very keen. Obviously, the game's coming out on Thursday. There you go. Crazy to say that. So, a lot happening this week. Yeah. All right. Other thing, how do you feel about the game leaking? Are you scared? You blocked all the words? What are you doing?
Nah.
Not scared?
No.
Okay. Yeah, because obviously Fantasy...
there's going to be more icons. Crazy.
I don't want to know.
I feel like the story is so in depth that no one is going to be able to like accidentally tweet out a bunch of spoilers.
Yes and no. I mean, like it's like if someone tweeted out the then guys, I'd be annoyed.
You're like, okay, well, I won't grow attached.
Yeah, I'd just prefer to. Yeah,
and it seems like it's so dense. I would be very surprised if someone who just got the game
do it. Yeah, no.
And you have to trust that people. A lot of the people who actually do have the game are reviewers.
No, the leaks are from...
Yeah, I know, but the leaks... Why would those people leak the information, I guess? Especially with Square Enix coming out and trying to, like, cover up as much stuff as they want. Unless you want clout, there's not any real reason to, like, do that stuff.
The weirdest thing to me is the last big Final Fantasy game that came out, Final Fantasy VII Remake, right?
Yep.
Leaked ahead of time.
Broke embargo broke.
And then
remember
it broke, and then it broke Street Day because of the leaks.
We all thought we were going lockdown.
Yep. And yeah, very weird. So having a time. All right. On a couple other things. So I have played a little bit of this morning Crash Rumble. That's what it's called, isn't it?
It is.
Crash Rumble. So this is the multiplayer based Crash game that, depending on your opinions on the trailers, either looked really weird or confusing or was going to be bad or like, why is this a game? I'm not minding it. I don't think it's going to have much longevity, I guess, in it. But I of the few games I played, I was like, this is pretty chill. This is pretty fun. Like I could do this. Like we got sent another code from Activision, so you can download that. We can play something together. Like it's pretty chill. But how it works is, so you go into a game. They give you one character of each class unlocked from the start. So Crash is a scorer. So his role is score points, which to score points in the map, you go around, you spin boxes or you pick up apples, and then you Wumpa fruit, and then you can go dump them at your goal. So like stand on your little zone and you'll dump the apples in there, and that helps you score points. I think it's like the first to 3,000 points or something like that. Then you've got another type of class, which is like the blocker, and the first character they give you is the fucking armadillo dude, whatever his name is. I can't remember his name. Anyway, the armadillo dude with like the big vacuum gun thing. So his goal is to stop, he's playing defense. So his ability is to, he's a bit tankier. He gets in there. You go disrupt the enemy team from trying to score, or defend your scorers from enemy team trying to disrupt them, sort of thing. That's what your goal is there. And then the third class is I can't remember the official name, but the character they give you for that one is Coco first. And their goal is to go around, and they have the ability to sort of and everyone can do other roles, but it's just like extra things that help them do it. So obviously Crash is more nimble and whatever, can score better. But then Coco, there's like crystals, like silver crystals on the map, where if you like jump on all 4 of them and turn them your team's color and then protect them for a little bit, they'll activate, and then your team can score double points. Coco, as that certain class for these objectives, she can activate them faster. And then there's other things around the map too, where if you collect relics and dump relics into them, they can activate special powers. So be that like another way to score extra points, or activate like big power-ups like spaceship, or like a volleyball, turn into a volleyball, and you can go around rolling to players and they can send them flying off and stuff like that. Coco can like get double points for dumping relics in those for her class, so her job's to go around and sort of focus on those. So there are 3 character classes. And then, I mean, it's like you're sort of going around. It's pretty fun. Like the last game I played, I was just trolling. Like the other team was pretty terrible, to be honest. And I was just like standing on their base, just like absolutely cock blocking them any chance of scoring. I was like, I don't know. I was like, it was that thing. I'm like, if all 3 or 4 of you decided to come, just wait and come kill me together, you'd probably be okay. But they kept coming one by one, and I'm just standing there with like a healing power up thing, just like consistently just standing there fucking killing them every time they go. I was like, what are you doing? Anyway, that's other thing. So each character can equip when you load into the game. And again, you only have one unlocked from the when you start the game, but you unlock more as you like level up and stuff. To get XP after you finish matches and stuff. But every character can get a power, a special ability that will unlock after they like score enough points or whatever to unlock it. Like Crash's first one is you can press triangle to dump down like a piranha plant thing at an area, so like attack enemies. And then the lizard dude, he can like dump down a healing station. Coco, I can't remember, but they've all got different abilities and stuff like that. And when you load into the match, you can pick which one of those you want to bring into the match. Of course, when you start the game, you only pick one thing. So there's a battle pass, but because the game is paid, it's a free battle pass. So I hope Activision doesn't fucking 3 months after this game release, they're like, aha, you now have to pay for it. Like they did weird shit for Crash Team Racing when that happened. But yeah, so this Crash Rumble is a paid game, multiplayer game with a battle pass, but the battle pass is free. So you don't have to pay for the battle pass after you purchase again. But as you level up the battle pass after doing stuff, it's like, costumes and whatever else for characters. So hats, backpacks. It's got a ridiculous amount of. I've already unlocked like oodles of stuff to customize characters and whatever. So you got all these Crash characters running around being ridiculous and whatever else. But I mean, if you like Crash Bandicoot and you like sort of, I guess this fits more in the genre of not super serious, multiplayer, like not super serious competitive games, like it is technically a competitive game because you're playing against another team 4v4, but like I wouldn't say it's not going to have an esport, and it's not trying to be an esport. It's just meant to be like, it's competitive fun, I would say. So, I think it's like $60. I think so. I don't know. It's up to you. You'd have to be like sort of really after something to play, or if you're a Crash fan, I guess that sort of helps. But if you're not a Crash fan, I feel like you're probably not going to be interested. So it's a tough ask, but yeah, I'm keen to play more. Then the other thing I was going to talk about quickly is I did play the Liza P demo that came out last week as well. That game is just Bloodborne, but not Bloodborne, which is everything I needed it to be, to be completely honest. I really, really liked the demo. It's got everything in a Soulsborne, I guess, that I would be looking for. the world by itself is super interesting. I mean, the fact that like you like wake up and you're playing as, you know, Geppetto's puppet, and then you're wandering around, and just the steampunk sort of aesthetic of it all, and the puppet monsters, and the puppet guards and stuff like that. And the fact that then, like, in the later part of the demo, you go to this hotel, but only humans are allowed in the hotel. And when you go to the door, it asks, are you a puppet or a human? Because all puppets in this world apparently cannot lie. Apart from you, you're the like Geppetto's secret puppet, and you can lie. So you can choose to say that you're a human, and you get let into the hotel. So, you know, that's why it's lies of P, I guess. Like, you have the ability to lie if you want throughout the game. But I mean, otherwise it's pretty straightforward as far as, I guess, Souls-like stuff that you would come to expect in these types of games. It is the, you know, you got parries, you got it's the slowed down stuff. It's not like super fast paced. It is more of that like meaningful stuff that you would expect. I never felt like I was surrounded by too many enemies at ever once, but it is like your typical sort of like dodge or parry, whatever you want to do. You don't have to be like, it's not like Sekiro where you sort of chucked into a corner and have to learn to parry. If you want to just dodge instead of parry, I mean, if you parry someone, you're going to do a lot more damage with the counter, but you can just choose to press circle and dodge around and stuff if you want. Being getting an attack, and you have special moves that are tied to his as you progress further in the game, you get different arms. Like one of the puppet's arms is detachable, and you can change that, and that gives you different power-ups and different moves that you can activate in combat and then level up and stuff like that. It did seem like there was, obviously it's a demo, so I didn't get to see too much, but there is a massive amount of like skill trees and stuff like that. And it did seem like if you want to, and this is something I definitely appreciate in these Souls-like games, it did seem like if you want to and you're struggling, you could simply like, if you farm up enough and just like put enough skill points into like, you know, health or something like that to sort of like help with the difficulty. But I'm sure people will fly through this game without ever leveling up, and there'll be like YouTube videos, and as there always is. I did the first boss fight in the demo. It took me like 4 or 5 goes. I think it was quite fucking, it's just like giant fucking thing that comes out of nowhere. And yeah, I mean, all the monster designs are really, really cool. I think that's the thing that I like the most about the game. It's not that it's a Souls-like, and anything Souls-like I'm instantly interested in. I'm not running around here playing all these remnants and what's that other one? Fuck, the ninja one. Well, I don't know. Obviously there's a lot of these types of games. I think like the aesthetics of this game and the world is just very cool and sort of up my alley, I think. So really, really enjoyed that. There was something else I was going to say too. Oh, you still have so when you do the boss fights, you can call for help at any point. It doesn't seem like there's a downside to it. There just seems to be like, hey, if you want to choose, and you don't have to do some very convoluted Bloodborne, Dark Souls way of like having to go to several locations to get a belt, all these like fucking ridiculous things you have to do. It's very much like there's like something outside boss doors that you can just call in another player and they can help you if you want. So I think that's good too, to help with the people who may be okay with the core gameplay, like normal enemies, but then the bosses are the struggle point, which is often the case. I feel like people just hit a door when they get to a certain difficult boss and they're like unable to progress, sort of thing. Yeah, I'm really, really keen for this. It's surprising because I remember when they first announced it, I was like, fuck, that looks cool. But there was like the thought in the back of my mind where I'm like, it's probably going to be shit. But like, damn, that was a cool reveal trailer. And then when they put out that trailer again the other day during Summer Game Fest or whatever, and they're like, a demo's out now. I'm like, okay, time to find out. But yeah, I mean, at least based on that demo, which was like an hour, I think. And I kept being like, I should just stop. I don't need to keep playing more. I'm liking it like halfway, and I'm like, no, I just want to keep playing. And then, you know, I die several times on the boss and be like, no, fuck it. Like, why do I care? Like, just stop. But then I'd reload and be like, one more go. Like, I want to beat this boss. So good fun. All right, let's get to a couple of news stories for this week as well. So firstly, PlayStation Lifestyle writes, an insider who previously leaked Persona 3 and Final Fantasy IX remakes has now claimed that a Final Fantasy X remake is in the works. Reset Era user I'm Hero 2, who quickly made a name for themselves in accurate leaks, also dropped a release window tin. I'm A Hero 2, who has since deleted their Reset Error account and scrubbed their posts, hinted that Final Fantasy X Remake's launch will coincide with the game's 25th anniversary, which happens in the fall of 2026. The original first game released in Japan in July 2021 for the PS2. It's unclear why Army Hero 2 chose to close their account, but according to Reset Error moderators, they worked or still do within the games industry. At one point, Army Hero 2 revealed that they once worked for Sega, where they weren't treated well. Interestingly, Army Hero 2 was the first one to leak the upcoming Persona projects, which Atlas accidentally confirmed prematurely, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I'm sort of on the line of this person has chosen to only ever leak 3 things, and all of them were true. So, like, that's 100% hit rate. So I think that adds a little bit of credibility to this. I'm totally down for a Final Fantasy X remake. As someone who actually really likes that game and will fully accept making fun of the laughing scene or whatever, and that's just part of the game's charm to me, whatever else. But I'm like, when you're doing Final Fantasy VII remake, huge project. They still got the second one to come out early next year. Then they're working on the third one. They said it's going to be 3 parts. Like, who the fuck's working on this 10 remake game?
Whoever did the reunion game, the Final Fantasy VII reunion, the prequel one that they released last year.
You reckon?
Yeah. I reckon they got like at least a couple of teams working on different Final Fantasy remakes.
I mean, they're proving.
I don't think anything's going to be on the scale of
7,
this or Final Fantasy 16, but like some sort of update on some of the titles.
Well, I mean,
and that's probably why they're mentioning 10, because it's like one on the lower scale. It's like one people don't want like a full remake of.
Yeah. Well, it's also more of a modern game, so you don't have to update as much. Like, it was already has more modern sensibilities about it than something like 7, I guess. And I mean, if this is true, fall 2026, it's fucking 3 years away still. So, but it's still 3 years away in a realm where I've still got Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3, whatever that was called. But that's still wild to me, because then I'm like, is this coming out between Part 2 and Part 3? Like, is that
who cares?
and then are they doing Final Fantasy X Remake 2? Like, because there was a 10-2.
The 10-2 remake, I guess it would be.
10-2 remake. Getting really fucking confusing at that stage. Anyway, I mean, I'm keen, but yeah. PlayStation Mobile head departs. Not much to talk about here, but I did think it was interesting because I feel like we talked about this and then nothing's happened. I'm like, what the fuck did they do? Anyway, games industry.biz writes, PlayStation has lost its head on mobile as mobile gamer.biz has reported in the Nicola Sabansky has left the company to pursue new undisclosed opportunity. He joined PlayStation as the VP and head of mobile in July 2021. Prior to that, he spent 7 years at Apple, where he was head of content for Apple Arcade. His duties have apparently been taken up by Oliver Quartermarsh and Chris Davis, both of whom have updated LinkedIn profiles. I find this very weird because, of course, we've talked about a lot in the last 12 months, 24 months. I feel PlayStation's like hiring people like this person to come into this mobile division. They're talking about how mobile is going to be such a big thing for them. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I feel like Netflix is moving faster with their push into video games than mobile, than PlayStation has been with their push into mobile. Like, what has happened in the last 2 years? I mean, COVID, you could be like, yeah, COVID affected it.
Yep.
Sort of thing. But like, you don't even hear about any whispers or like plans of mobile games. Like, I don't know what their big mobile push is supposed to be. What did this person do in their couple of years there? I'm confused.
Grifted, got a paycheck. I don't know. Yeah. It's like there's not a lot. I'm sure there's like a bunch of stuff that happens behind the scenes that we don't see, but it feels like they haven't really done anything, or a lot of deals fell through, or they weren't up to snuff. The titles that they were looking to acquire or whatever, or like developing. So
it's weird.
Yeah, it is weird.
Anyway, yeah, shout out to PlayStation and their ever-growing commitment to mobile. Smashed it.
It's true. Because they bought a mobile dev, right?
Yep.
That was one of the acquisitions.
Yep.
So,
what the fuck's going on? All right, PlayStation is also teaming up for a Hideo Kojima documentary. So, Push Square writes, PlayStation Studios and Kojima Productions have announced a documentary named Hideo Kojima Connecting Worlds, which promises to take you, quote, on a journey into the creative mind of the most iconic video game creator in the world, end quote. The film appears to revolve around the establishment of Kojima's own independent studio and the creation of Death Stranding. In the trailer, there are interviews with some of the cast members from the aforementioned game, including Guillermo del Toro. We also see lots of luxurious slow motion shots of Kojima himself, as well as behind-the-scenes footage from inside Kojima Productions. There's no release date attached to the film, but the trailer notes it's coming soon. The full quote for us is, widely regarded as the first author of video games to visually captivating documentary, gives a rare insight into Hideo Kojima's creative process as he launches his own independent studio, featuring contributions from visionary artists such as Guillermo del Toro, Nicholas Winding Refn, Grimes, George Miller, Norman Reedus, Woo Kid, Churches, and many more. This thoughtful film explores the powerful and potential of video games as an art form through the work of an influential talent revered by millions worldwide. You came for this?
Yeah. Obviously, we knew it was coming. I think it debuted at Rebecca, didn't it? That was a thing.
I think it did. Yeah. But I don't think they put the trailer out.
They put the trailer out. I have not seen any reviews or anything about it, which is an interesting thing. So maybe they didn't actually show it, just showed a segment or something. But yeah, obviously, the more behind the scenes stuff we can get into gaming and the more people can actually learn about what it takes to make games, the better. So, and clearly Kojima's an interesting dude. So
yeah, very interesting dude.
And it's a very star-studded cast. Bunch of people.
He loves stars. He collects them.
Yeah.
He collects them. Yeah, I'm definitely keen to watch this. I'm hoping it comes out sometime soon. I don't know. Also, Kojima's having an interesting week because he's also like talking about how, didn't they really talk about it much, but he's like, yeah, that Death Stranding film's happening. I'm not directing it, but I'm super involved. And then also there was another interview where he's like, I want to go to space.
Sure.
So, a lot happening. All right, final news story for the week. PlayStation has celebrating their year since the launch of PlayStation Plus. Extra deluxe, premium, depending on when and where you live. So firstly, there's a big competition available to win a PS5 and a PSVR 2, which starts on June 20th. That's today as of recording, and tomorrow, it's already out by the time you listen to this. It's going to finish on June 30th, and surprisingly, this is available for Aussies. So you can head on over and enter that. I think you just have to fill out a fucking quick question or whatever. Lucky dip draw, but be in it to win it, I guess. So are you entering that one?
I've already got a PS5.
Yeah, but you don't need a PSVR 2.
That's a good point. Maybe I will.
They're going to have another competition for Sackboy races. So from June 24th until June 25th, a whole 24-hour day. Players can win 3-month PlayStation Plus Premium or Deluxe memberships. To enter, simply hover over the Sackboy Game Hub and look for the Sackboy game card, taking you to the challenge for that one. US people will be able to stream PlayStation games on PlayStation 5 games soon on PlayStation Premium. It was announced, so cool for the people who do that. And then they announced 8 new games coming to PlayStation Plus catalog this week. They are Far Cry 6, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge, Rogue Legacy 2. That's the standout one because it
hasn't been available.
It hasn't been out yet, so there it is. Inscription, Solstice, Tacoma, Deus Ex Mankind Divided, and Killing Floor 2. Plus, there will be a game trial available for WWE 2K23. You came for any of those games?
Yep. It's just a shame it's coming out this week.
Yep.
It's like, fuck. Because also Inscription's on that list, and maybe this will be the finally thing pushed to the edge. Play Inscription.
Yeah. A lot of good stuff there. Bad time to come out.
Yeah.
Nothing but Final Fantasy from Thursday. And then the 3 new PlayStation Star campaigns will also let you add 3 exclusive digital collectibles based on the Mr. Malcolm spot that apparently Dan debuted the trailers for this, which I don't remember, but cool. And then there will be a free multiplayer weekend, which will run from June 24th to 25th. And if you don't have PlayStation Plus, it doesn't matter. You can just play online during that time. PlayStation's like, hey, isn't playing online great? This will make you want to subscribe.
Yep.
I guess. So cool. All right, that will do it for this week's episode of Platinum Explosion. Thank you for joining us. Next week and for the foreseeable future, we'll be talking about Final Fantasy, I guess. I think that's how that's going to roll out for at least the next few weeks. Yeah, it's going to how it's pan out for the next few weeks, I think. So let's say any comments, questions, concerns you've had about things we've been talking about this week. Your thoughts on the Final Fantasy 16 demo, if you're excited about any of that, on our Discord, explosionnetwork.com/Discord, or tweet at us, explosionnetwork.com/Twitter. And if you like the show and you want to support it, explosionnetwork.com/support takes you to our Ko-fi page. As little as $1 helps out the show and the website. And until next week, remember, every trophy counts. Also, shout out, I got 33% of the trophies in Crash Rumble by only playing like an hour. So, shout outs. Goodbye.